On this week's episode, we're installing Innies and our new felt wall kit. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, Matt here for AVC and welcome back to the shop. Like I said in the intro, in today's episode, we're going to be installing our new felt wall kit as well as these Innie Pocket Sleepers that allow us to sleep sideways in the van without cutting giant holes in those. Now, this is just one episode in a build series, so if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead, hit that subscribe button and follow along with this complete build. And if you want to get your own build professionally done by AVC, go ahead and use that link in the description below and we'll get your project started. So before we get installing this new felt wall kit, let's talk about some of the differences and maybe advantages of the felt over our traditional wood wall kits. Now this felt panel is 9mm thick, which is going to be the same finish size as our traditional wall kit when you add the Landau foam and our fabric on top. But for that same thickness, we have half the weight, which is going to be excellent for fuel economy. Now, the primary reason this product is manufactured is for sound absorption, and that's why we chose it for our van. That means it's going to absorb all that sound as we're driving on the road, and this should be the quietest van we have ever built. So this felt wall panel is made of PET, which is a 50% post-consumer recycled material and 50% virgin material. Now the manufacturer of this panel is trending towards a more recycled material base, which is a really nice green alternative to our traditional wall kits. And the last advantage we want to say is this material comes out of the box ready to install. So no need to glue on foam and fabric on top of this stuff here. It comes in 20 different colors, so you can choose a bunch of different colors that are going to match your van's style, but you can just take it and put it right onto your walls. No need for glue, no VOCs, no exposure to all those chemicals, and it's going to be super easy to build at home. Now there are a few downsides or just things to consider when choosing this material for your wall kit. Now the first and probably the biggest one that we've noticed here at the shop is it's not as rigid as our standard wall kit. So you can see here as I'm pushing this, it has a little bit of give around here, but once we put our utility cabinets in, it's going to lock it in and then it's going to be just fine. But it might require a few extra fasteners that you wouldn't need with a traditional wood wall kit. Now another thing to consider is because it does have that bend to it, if you're going to be screwing things to your wall kit itself, it may not be the best material. Now it does have excellent screw retention, but it's not going to be as supportive as a Baltic birch wall kit is. So if that's something you're going to rely on for your infrastructure or the way you build your van, you might want to stick with something a little more traditional. Now here at AVC, all of our cabinets bolt into the superstructure of the van. So we don't really have to worry about the wall kit. It's just kind of there. It's going to absorb sound. It's going to make the van look nice. And for us, this felt wall kit is going to be perfect. Now, I do want to point out that this wall kit is available in our Gen 1 wall kit shapes as well as our Gen 2. On the video today, we are installing our Gen 2 wall kit, which coincides with our skeleton kit. So this is going to be a bolt-in solution. But if you want to screw your wall kit in with our Gen 1 wall kit, it's 100% doable. It screws in just fine. We're actually going to screw the back door panels in, so you'll see that on today's video too. And with those things out of the way, let's go and get to the table and get this thing prepped for install. Now the next component of our build today is going to be our Innie Pocket Sleeper. Now if you're not familiar with our Innie Pocket Sleeper, this is a way that we can sleep sideways in the van without having to do those fiberglass bump outs on the outside. So this utilizes the depth of the Ford Transit. It fits into those pockets, just like an Innie belly button there inside your van, and it gets us an extra 7 inches overall sleeping distance, which means we can get a 75-inch bed east-west, which is enough for a guy that's my height. I'm 5'10". It's even good enough for someone who's about 6'1". I think after 6'1", you might want to consider doing one of those fiberglass flares. But that's most of America out there, so this is an excellent solution for you, much cheaper, and comes with this paper template we're going to be using to install today. So included in every order of your Innies is going to be a paper template just like this, and this is your cutout template for your wall kit. It has your 8mm holes here at the top for alignment in your van. That way, if you're not using our wall kit, you can still fit it to anything out there in the transit world. The outer line here is going to be the cutout for your wall kit. And this can fit from the inside out or the outside in, meaning you can put your wall kit here on the inside and use this nice finished edge to trim up that area, or you can mount it from the back side and get just your wall kit wrapped to that edge. So if you're going to retrofit this, the best way to do it is just go ahead, cut through there, insert this from the outside, screw it into your wall kit, and you're ready to go. Boom, you just gained 7 inches of sleeping space. If you're starting a new build and you're going to be incorporating this into your design, then I would just cut it out of your raw wall kit and then bolt it in on the face, so that you get this little extra return here hidden by your wall kit. It's going to be a cleaner look. And that's how we're going to be installing it today with our felt wall kit. So on the paper pattern, we have a bunch of different pieces of information baked into this. So we have the 8mm threaded inserts that are going to line up with your Ford factory holes. We have a screw pattern around the outside that we like to use, and this lines up with our Gen 2 skeleton system and the Gen 2 wall kit. That way all of our bolts line up throughout the van. It's just like a nice perfect grid. We also have an interior dotted line here Now, if you want to cut the drop from this and fill it on the inside of your Innie and have like a nice finished interior piece, you can use that dotted line, cut that piece, fill it inside the Innie, and then you have like a nice soft backer so you can finish it out with some fabric. These are going to be difficult to fabric by themselves, so you're going to need to do that fill-in piece if you want to have a finished back on that. The other two pieces of information we have here are window cutouts. So we have these for the CRL 1033 slider. We also have them for the CRL awning window style. And when you use our window cut template, it's going to line up perfectly with these. That's the reason we made that template, so that everybody out there can have a consistent window location and have a successful build. So today on the channel, we are going to be cutting out our awning window cutout. We're going to put that inside our Innie. We're going to cut the Innie so that it's going to fit to our window. Then we're going to mount that Innie flare to our new wall kit and get everything installed. So first step is going to be cutting this stuff out. Let's get to it. With our inner template cut out, we can place that inside the Innie, and we're just going to center this thing up and tape it down. That way we don't get any shifting. We also cut out the AW window pattern out of the center here, and this is what we're going to be cutting out. So let's get this thing taped down. We'll trace it out with a Sharpie, and then we'll get this window hole cut out, and then it's ready for install into our wall kit. Template is centered, so let's go ahead and just trace this out with our Sharpie. Our pattern is traced onto our Innie, so we're just going to go ahead and pop a couple of holes in here so we can get our saw through. Our Innie is now prepped to install into our wall kit, and we're ready to toss our wall kit section on top. Now you'll notice that our wall kit comes pre-cut for the Innie, which is super nice when you order it all from us now. The other cool thing in this wall kit is there's actually a bunch of holes here to mount the wall kit, and it's so cleanly cut that you can barely tell that they're here. So you gotta go through here and pull them out. It's actually a bit of a challenge to find them. So there's actually one right here, and watch this. You would never know it's there. Super clean. So we have a bunch of holes that line up all around our Innie ring. We're gonna go ahead and pop all of these out. Then we're gonna get it traced onto our Innie ring so we can match cut all those holes. So all of our holes are now poked out of our wall kit so we can actually line everything up. So now we're just gonna line up the Innie with the center of this opening and just make sure all of our corners look really good. Then we can go through and mark onto our Innie where those are going to be. I like to actually mark my corners with a circle, and then for along the sides, I'm just gonna mark a little line here because generally the sides have a little bit of wiggle to them, and so I can kind of finesse that side into place. But where this corner is molded, there's no give there, so I know that that's exactly where it's going to be. So these are all marked. Let's move our wall kit section out of the way. Then I use one of our screw guides, and when I hold the screw guide up into the corner here, I can see it's basically right at that 1/2 inch hole. So I'm going to use that same distance and make a little T-cross for my sides, and that way I can just bend the side into position, and I know that that's where I want that hole to be, and that way all my spacing is going to be consistent around the outside. If you want one of these screw guides, they are free to download on our website, and then you can print them at your local library if you don't have a 3D printer at home. Now I'm going to take my step bit and just make myself a 1/4 inch hole, centering on that cross sign there. And I can grab a piece of hardware and just make sure I got a little bit of room there. I don't need it super tight. Having a little bit of wiggle room in this situation is going to be an advantage. Okay, with that last hole in, let's grab our wall kit and we'll start bolting this together. So I'm just going to use, we have our black stainless 1/4-20s, and we got a black stainless washer. I'm going to use those here on the inside. And then behind the wall, I'll use some silver washers just because I have some extra silver washers here at the shop I need to use up. So one thing to know on this felt is if we over tighten, we can kind of crush that felt and it's not going to look perfect. So what I'm doing with these 3/4 inch stainless steel bolts is just tightening them until they flush up with this nylock right here. So it's about right where I want it, just perfectly flush there. And then when you look on the inside here, see, it's not really overly tight or anything like that. It's not crushing it, but it's tight. Our Innie is now mounted to our wall kit section, and with these two together, we're ready to get back in the van and start installing this wall kit. We're ready to start installing our wall kit, but if we peek behind here, you're gonna see we have all of our wiring because this is where our electrical kit is. So we're gonna pop a couple of holes in our wall kit. My utility cabinet has a shelf right at the top of our wheel well. So I wanna get my penetration below that wheel well height, which I already kind of measured out right before we started shooting this video, and it's gonna be right here. Now, to protect those entry points or just clean them up a little bit, we have these little 3D printed wire guides. They're gonna go into our wall kit and just kind of have everything nice and secure. These are gonna be a free download on our website. So if you wanna grab these files and print your own, you can definitely do that. This also has this option that has this little vanity cover. So if your wires are exposed and you're gonna have some wires coming out of this, you don't have a cabinet in front of this section, you can use this little cover here, and then all of your wires that come out of there are gonna be nice and hidden. You're not gonna see inside that hole, and it's gonna keep everything super clean. Today, we don't really need that cover, so we're just gonna install these just like giant grommets in our wall kit, and we're gonna get working. So working with this felt is actually a dream. It cuts perfectly with just about everything, it seems like. So I can take my hole saw, and I have it centered on this point here. Pop my hole in there, and you can see it's just a perfect cutout. I can take my little wire entry guide and just pop it right over the top of this. And we're gonna put 4 screws in the corners here and secure it. We're ready to keep going. Feed all these wires through here. All of our wires are through our walls, and now the beauty of our Gen 2 wall kit and the skeleton system is we just drive these 1/4-20s in, and our wall kit is in place. So just don't go too tight, and we can go around the outside and screw our wall kit in, or bolt it in rather, and we're ready to go. So that middle panel that we prepped with our Innie is ready to go in, but before we do that, let's go ahead and pull these 8mm bolts because we want these on the outside of our wall kit, not buried behind it. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and thread a couple of these in here. They'll just help me get it started. Milwaukee. Missed one. To be in here. With those last bolts in, this wall kit is complete, and I am pretty stoked with this. This is a new product for us here at AVC, and I couldn't be more thrilled with it, and I can't wait to go zip around in it and drive around and see how quiet this build is. Now, if you have questions about this new felt wall kit or the Innie Pocket Sleepers, go ahead and hit us up in the comments below, and we'll take care of you there. If you want to see color options and maybe some different pricing and availability of this felt wall kit, hit us up at avcrig.com, and we have all those options and colors listed there. That's it for this episode. Go ahead, hit that like button if you learned something today, and we'll see you on the next episode.